This video is going to be the last video of Midge Larva, and then we'll move on to Midge Pupa. Of course, Charlie Craven says Midge Pupa are just Midge Larva with bigger heads. But take a look at this one. It's a cool tying technique with Marabou, and it's great for tying tiny flies with cilia or hairs on them and some movement in the water. This fly is a Marabou midge, and we tie them in, I say red, black, we can tie olive and white. I'm going to tie in white. It uses Marabou and crystal flash for the rib and the TMC 200R hook. Got some white 6/0 or 8/0 flat thread. And so this is a piece of Marabou. This happens to be blood quill Marabou. And you could tie this with really any kind of Marabou as long as you've got enough fiber length to wrap like we're going to wrap it. The other thing is, like, I got 2 or 3 out of this, and you can see these here have been cut off. And you can also use just what you would normally think of as maybe woolly booger Marabou, something like this. You just need a long enough plume here or fiber on the side to be able to do the twisting kind of maneuver. So here's the Marabou I'm going to use, and it's got some nice long fibers on the side. This has already been used, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'm going to get a piece of crystal flash and just cut it off. This is the ribbing material, and so I'll tie it in first and just wrap up a little bit, and then I'm going to come back down to where I'm going to tie the body material in, which is the Marabou. I'll grab that Marabou, and I'm just going to use one side of this, but I'm going to leave it attached to the stem. And you'll see why in a minute. It's easier to work with. And this is a midge. It's a small 16 to 22 is about the size of the hook, so I don't want a whole bunch, but I'm going to take a little clump and just do a pinch wrap around it. And then I want to just kind of pull back until I get down to the tips. And then we'll wrap that all in till we get back up to where the head's going to start. All right. Now to use this, what we're going to do is we're going to twist the ribbing material out of the way. We're going to twist the Marabou and let it kind of form like this. And then we just wrap the Marabou around the shank. And what I really like about this, we'll take another turn. What I really like about this is it leaves a nice buggy or fuzzy look. Lots of little fibers, cilia, or whatever you want to call them, coming off. And you get sort of a tapered body as you come toward the top. I love patterns like this where not only is a good pattern, but it gives you a good technique to work with. So this is something that I think I might use for other flies, and I'm not worrying about, I've got some extra stuff there, we can cut that off later. Once I get up to the head, and I do want to leave some room to make a head, then I'm just going to tie off with a couple of wraps over and then clip off the extra. And usually I just go ahead, anything that looks out of place, I just go ahead and trim off. You can leave it on if you want to. And now I'm going to take the crystal flash. This is pearl, which is the color you want to use for white. You use red for red and black for black, and if you tie olive, you use olive. And I'm spacing this a little tighter than I might usually. I'm aiming for 7 or 8 fairly evenly spaced ribs or turns up. When I get to the front, do the same thing we did with the Marabou and tie it off. And clip it, finish it out. And this is a Marabou Midge larva, which you want to fish right at the bottom. There's the last of the Midge larva we're going to tie.